There is a structural upgrade not shown anywhere on the internet that I think is a must-have on this floor plan. We also have amazing design and great views. Stick with me for a great home tour. Now this is the Leighton plan built by Drees Homes. This specific floor plan is being built in this community called Lariat with amazing views off the backyard. I'm actually going to show you those views in a few minutes, but stick with me while we go through this model home where we have a lot of options. We have 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms with different upgrades. This can be either over 3,700 or over 3,800 square feet. And I'm gonna show you one of those upgrades that actually adds square footage to the plan later on in the video. And then after we go through this model home, I'm gonna show you another 1-story plan that's for sale in a different community called Clearwater Ranch, and that's on 1 acre. But stick with me here because like I said, we got tall ceilings, we got windows everywhere, and we got amazing upgrades that I'm going to showcase throughout this model home tour. And then all the way out there in the distance is a street that Drees has many lots that you can build on, or you can buy a home that's already under construction, and all those homes have incredible views. Now, my name is Raj Sahu. I'm a realtor in Austin, Texas, and I've represented clients with 21 different builders, and 98% of my clients reach out to me through YouTube. And so I'm going to give you the perspective of walking through many homes with Drees with so many of my clients. And I'm going to tell you right now, what they tell me about this kitchen is this cabinet color is really hitting. It plays off the flooring that's here, which is very warm, and that green touch is something that I'm seeing way more often, especially in these custom homes, these high-end luxury homes, seeing it so much more. Now, the backsplash going all the way up above those upper cabinets is pretty incredible. I love all the lighting that's in here, and so many of my clients tell me when they think of high-end builders in the Austin, Texas metro, they think of Drees. And I'm so excited because at the time I'm recording this, I'm seeing Drees double down on many new communities. I'm going to talk about that throughout this home tour. And I'm also going to compare these communities against each other so you have an idea of what your options are around a certain price point. And I'm going to cover that price point here in a second, but stick with me because I'm going to look over my left shoulder and you're going to see nothing but open space here. But this is a model home. It was just completed. I think there's actually a few items that still need to be fixed. You'll see one of those here in a second, but you will see amazing lots in a couple of minutes, and I can't wait for you to see all these windows off the back wall. Imagine them looking out to an amazing view. Now, one of those repairs you see there on the left side, but just ignore that because this is something that my clients tell me they have to have. It's cabinets that are hidden. They don't want all their appliances shown for all their guests, and having a place where they can hide their appliances while still getting a ton of pantry space is a big need in the current market. And I'm getting that need often. I'm also getting big utility rooms, which we're going to see there on the left side later on in the video. And then I'm getting hey, get me as many cabinets as we can in my kitchen. That's what I want. I want the upper cabinets too. I want great design. I want lighting everywhere. That's what so many of my people are telling me they want in their kitchen. And let me know what you think about this. I think this kitchen is definitely knocking it out of the park, especially with the new upgrades that people really want that feel modern, very sleek, and feel unique. And I think they did that here in this kitchen. Now, moving on, we are in the dining room. We got an 8-seater table here, and we're gonna head outside next. And I can't wait for you to see this patio, but don't underestimate this space because I get a lot of people that want 1-story plans. They always feel like they're gonna compromise on the square footage. And then I tell them, well, we should tour this plan. We should tour plans with Drees because these 1-story plans hit different. Like, it doesn't do me justice to enter through that patio door. We got to exit to the patio using this sliding glass door because notice the difference. You're met with these vaulted ceilings in the patio, and this just feels luxurious. Now, I know I will get comments about the backyard size, so I'll address it here so you can save the comment. Yes, the backyard is tight on this model home, but rest assured, after this home tour, if you want to see a bigger backyard, there is another plan built by Drees that's also a sprawling 1-story plan on 1 acre. And at the time I'm recording this, it's for sale just over $1 million. But you don't have to wait for that. If you want a home with an amazing view, it's right out there in that direction. That's currently for sale under $1.1 million, and it's this same floor plan. Check it out.
Hey, real quick, this is the Leighton plan currently under construction for sale at the time I'm recording this video here in Lariat. And when I talk about views, I talk about topography that's here, beauty that's here in Liberty Hill, Texas. This home captures it. And of course, Drees has some of the best lots that are in this community called Lariat. Now, this phase is just starting to get built out. As you can tell, down the hillside is the phase that was almost done, and then they started coming up to this hill, and I started looking at views around this area, and then I started emailing a lot of my clients telling them we should look at options like this because this is incredible. And I think Lariat does continue to capture the beauty that's here in the Austin, Texas metro area. Now, if you want to get ahead and you want to know what options are coming up months from now that nobody else is talking about, and you're watching this on TV, go ahead and scan this QR code, and that will start a text message. All you got to do is click send, and that will go to me and my team. We'll connect with you and figure out what your best options are. And then we can talk about pros and cons based on your criteria. And then if you like views like this, I got plenty of lots that are coming up that have amazing views. Now, if you're watching this on your mobile, there is a link at the bottom of the description of this video where you can connect with us, get on our calendar, and we'd love to talk options with you. All right, back to the video. Now, I hope you loved that view that was back there. It's absolutely incredible. I have a client that's actually in the community that's enjoying the view off their backyard right here in this community called Lariat. They actually built their plan from scratch, and they are loving it. So if you're loving it too, stick with me. There's still a lot to see here. Like, I want to show you this huge patio with the vaulted ceilings. We don't have a huge backyard, but if you really want a bigger backyard, stick with me. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you one of their other popular one-story plan called the Marley plan that is on a 1-acre lot here in Liberty Hill, Texas, in a community called Clearwater Ranch. Now, I got good news and bad news for you, and we're going to get back into the home. I'm going to show you the living room. We're going to head to the primary bedroom and bathroom after that. But while we do, I want to mention that Clearwater Ranch, here's the bad news, it's closing out. At the time I'm recording this video, Clearwater Ranch is closing out, and I got to tell you, I was there during the pandemic when it was just everybody was trying to buy up homes left and right, and there just wasn't enough labor to get these homes built out. And I just thought to myself, what a beautiful 1-acre lot community. It's amazing. Even I just drove through there earlier today before doing this video, and people are so friendly. You know, I think like 5 different people waved to me when they were on their walk. A couple of people were running through the neighborhood, and it's just very peaceful, very serene. So bad news, that's closing out. Good news, south of this community in Leander is a new community called Hilltop Ranch where Drees is building 1-acre lots, and there's many 1-acre lots are in and around that community that are coming up. So I think it's gonna be very interesting options moving forward, and I love seeing a good builder like Drees double down on the Austin, Texas metro area, because there was a time where I felt like they might have been pulling back. They just weren't going into that many communities. But looking back on it, that was probably good timing because they were, I'm sure, looking at market conditions and being very strategic with how they expanded. Now, getting into the primary bedroom and bathroom here, we got a good size here, and I think Drees does this really well. You'll also see this in their next home that I put in after this that's on an acre lot and is for sale at the time I'm recording this video. We'll also show you some more views that are out here in Lariat that are amazing. And what you need to imagine is, I know we just see kind of a field behind us. There will be homes back there, but if you can imagine that looking out to a view, there are some spectacular options right now that are here in this community called Lariat. Now, nobody's staying here, so this is what I want you to imagine is every morning these curtains are drawn, and all you do is you pull them to the side and you look out, and instead of seeing a bunch of dirt, you're gonna look out to an amazing view off your backyard. And that's what I want for so many people that tell me a view off their backyard really puts them at peace. I think I say it in almost every single video now, but I love getting feedback from clients who have reached out to me through YouTube, and their dream is to build an open concept home. And for some people, their dream is to build looking back at a view. And I love getting pictures from all my clients who have that amazing view, or just, you know, something about their home. I love getting pictures of, after they close, of how much they're enjoying their home. And there's nothing like getting a view shot of somebody's sunset or sunrise off the back of their home. Just because I'm not always there during sunset or sunrise, I'm walking through a lot of my clients' homes often, especially when they're under construction. My team and I are almost at these homes every single week, if not every other week. And to see it at sunrise, sunset, just amazing. I can't describe it to you. You just have to see it for yourself. Okay, getting into the primary bathroom. I feel like a lot of Drees plans do this, especially on their one-story plans where it's the bathroom before the bedrooms. You kind of walk past it before you get to the primary bedroom. Let me know what you think about that. For some people, for some reason, it kind of throws them off. They're like, I don't want to walk past my bathroom to my primary bedroom. Others could care less. Most people tell me that they love this walk-in shower. It's huge. It's got a shower bench. It's got a lot going on here. And I think this is why Drees stands out as one of the premier builders in the Austin, Texas metro. Now, one thing I want to point your attention to, if you're wondering what that second floor balcony on the next home is, that is actually their other model home called the Brookdale 2. I'm going to have that posted. If it's not posted at the time I'm recording this video, it's probably going to be posted a couple weeks later. So take a look at that, and somebody comment if I haven't already done so, but I'll put in the description, just somebody comment and remind me if it's not in the description of this video. That is also another great model home because they did make some variations to the Brookdale plan to make what they're calling the Brookdale 2 plan. It just adds a lot more square footage. And what's interesting is I've had clients look at that as a model home, just a Brookdale plan in another community in Georgetown called Oaks at San Gabriel. Had a lot of people looking at Drees in that area of Georgetown. And at that time, I just never had anybody buy it. The Brookdale plan was a good plan, but they always felt like they needed a little bit more. And lo and behold, Drees now has a variation of that plan that adds a lot more square footage. So I'll definitely cover that in a detailed walkthrough later. Okay, still a lot to see here. We're back at the main living area. I didn't want to bounce around too much, but just so you know where I'm going, we're covering the main living area. Obviously, primary and bedroom and bathroom over there is where I just got out of. And then we have a game room and a media room over here. Now, I mentioned earlier, this plan can be over 37 or over 3,800 square feet. And the upgrade that you can do is extending that dining room as well as extending the game room and the media room that's right here. And that is a very interesting option because I find a lot of people are looking for more square footage in these common areas, especially on a one-story plan. A lot of people tell me they want everything on one floor as long as they can make it feel private. And that's why I think this plan, the Leighton plan, does really well, where you have these different common areas all kind of close by to each other, and then the bedrooms are spread out and private from each other. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. I know we only looked at one bedroom, but we got this game room in the back left of the home with a media room attached. You got some great windows. I'll keep going back to it, but just imagine those windows looking out to an amazing view or a greenbelt or something like that. I think you can see that beauty that's well in the distance there. Now, towards the front of the home, we do have a bedroom and a study. We got a couple other bedrooms that we're gonna look at here, and you're gonna see a great combination of feeling open concept wall, still getting all the rooms that people want to have in their one-story plan. Now, I'm gonna cover one-story plan versus two-story plan as an option because I get a lot of people that only buy two-story plans, especially in these big master plan communities. But what I'm finding after I've seen a lot of people move here to Texas, they love those open concept two-story plans. So really what they want in a two-story is very tall ceilings. That's what so many people tell me they want. In fact, 33 of my last 34 clients that have bought with me through YouTube, they all have open to the second story in the living room. And most of them, I would say, have open to the second story in the entrance of their front door. And so a lot of people love the tall ceilings that are here. But then they see one-story plans like this and they say, wait a second, that also has great tall ceilings. And then when they get into a two-story plan, a lot of, once they buy a two-story plan or they talk to their neighbors, they talk to people that have gone into a two-story plan, you often hear that people just don't use these areas that are on the second story. And what I've tried to explore is, well, why does that happen? How do you get a 2-story plan, but you don't use the square footage on the upstairs? And for some people who tell me that they got young kids who are not teenagers, maybe elementary, middle school, or maybe even younger, I have a 3 and a 1-year-old at home. I often say that in my videos. And the last thing I want to do is when we put them to sleep, we don't want them getting up, right? We definitely do not want them getting up because then I know what's going to happen. They're going to come to our bed and then, I'm getting kicked in the face at night. And as much as I love my kids, I do like sleeping and not getting kicked through the night. And same with my wife. When we're both, sleep deprived, we're both zombies. That's not helpful for anybody, right? And so I really do cherish that sleep. And that's why when our kids go to bed, we stay as far away as possible from their bedrooms. And that's the feedback that I get from a lot of my clients, where they never want to go upstairs. And I've had some people, as we look through the powder bathroom, I'll show you the utility room. We got another bedroom that we're going to get to. When I get some of my clients who put a really nice theater room on their second floor, they tell me, hey, now that we've had kids, we don't use it as much as we thought we would. And for some of those people, they say, hey, I'm never actually in my game room, media room upstairs. I wish we had that space on the first floor. I wish everything was there. Now, I know what you're thinking. These bedrooms are relatively close by to that game room, media room. There are other plans where I think you can accomplish what I'm talking about, where the game room, media room's a little bit further away. And I love featuring some of those options to problem solve, is some of my clients really care about some of these things. And these are the topics that we're getting through to people to try to explore before they contract, because the last thing I want you to do is think about these things after closing. But hey, sometimes people just want something, right? They want a 2-story plan with those tall ceilings. They get it, and as much as they don't use their second story, they love how open concept it feels. So there's always going to be pros and cons, I think, no matter what you buy. Okay, we got a couple bedrooms here. Again, private from the other spaces. I mean, this is a little bit down a hallway, private from the game room, media room, which was kind of in the back left of this home. We have that hallway that we went down over there to the game room, media room. And then we have a large utility room. Now, this is one of the other upgrades that you can do. Now, if you want this large utility room, well, take a look. This is sometimes a dream laundry room. And as somebody who does all the laundry in our house, we have a morning nanny that helps with our kids' clothes and stuff like that. But I do our laundry, and I sometimes just love plugging in a podcast, folding clothes. That's like my activity sometimes at night. I love seeing a huge utility room like this because we got a small one, and I love seeing all this cabinetry. And for some people, they tell me this is a big deal, and they love doing a tile like this. Like, take a look at this hexagon where they ran a pattern on the floor. Very cool stuff. You also have a separate area and a water line for a refrigerator right there. And just to orient yourself, there is a 3-car garage that would be normally accessible right over there. But of course, that is the builder agent's office right now. And then if you recall, this was the secondary pantry area where you can put your appliances. But I'll keep going in order here. So you can see it's very functional, walkable from both of these areas. But I totally almost forgot to give you the upgrade. The upgrade is this can be a suite. So this makes the bedroom much larger. It makes the utility room a little bit smaller. To my knowledge, I don't believe it adds square footage to the plan. But again, this is a brand new model home. I think you can notice there's a couple pieces of tape still here. I appreciate Drees for allowing me to put this video out there because I really want to show off this plan soon, especially with the amount of clients that we have looking at these areas. And as of right now, though, to my knowledge, that is just an upgrade that makes the bedroom larger, but just changes the orientation of the utility room. Okay, let me know what you think about that, and let me know what you think about this. Did we look at this already? Like this cabinetry with the glass inserts on the side with artwork and wallpaper behind it. Such a fun accent piece. Now, it's just actually running into one of the builder agents that was in that community that we're going to be seeing later on called Clearwater Ranch. And I was there a few years ago, and I was really there for one reason. I love touring Drees Homes, and they had a model of the home there called the Linmar 2 plan. If you know Drees, you probably are familiar. It's one of their most popular plans, a 2-story plan. It's got a second floor balcony, It's got so many amazing accent pieces. And I was just telling her I appreciated her help with allowing me to tape that home. That video is actually my second highest viewed video. It's got over 350,000 views. And I've had a lot of people enter my YouTube channel through that video of that amazing home. Now, that was on an acre lot. It shows really well. And again, if you like acre lots, you want a big backyard, stick with me. I'm about to show you one of those plans that's currently for sale with Drees. But what's interesting is I just ran into her in this model home, and I was telling her that the cabinetry in that area that we just saw with the glass inserts on either side, and it just reminded me of the Linmar plan, where when you walk through the Linmar plan, it's so unique. The dining room is almost like the centerpiece of that main living area, and then the living room is actually in the back of the home, and it's such a unique design. It's one of their most popular plans, and I think it's why Drees continues to stand out as one of those premier builders here in the Austin, Texas metro area. And so I love these touches that they do here. They have great front elevations, which is the exterior of the home, and so many things that I could continue to cover here. But while we go through this in-suite full bathroom, I will just mention that here in Lariat, the big difference is this is a very large master plan community. A lot of homes, a lot of things going on inside the neighborhood. They have a big amenity center. They already have an elementary school at the time I'm recording this that's under construction, and there's so much activity going on in this community. So this community is designed to be very lively, very active, and my clients that have moved into the community can agree. They moved in, and they were actually the first home completed on their street. They ended up building from scratch, and they now have multiple homeowners on their street. Everybody's out and about, everybody's very active, and that seems to be the vibe of the community. What I love most, though, about this community is going to be lots like this. Now, I've been coming out to Lariat for the last year or two, and it's because I noticed some hills that had some beauty there, and I kept asking, who are the builders that were coming up here? Who are the builders coming up? And I was hoping for great forever home builders to come up, and Drees is definitely one of them, and I'm not surprised. They're getting some of the best lots that are here. But what you really would need to know is if you like a master plan community that's very lively, very active, a lot of fun, it's got all sorts of amenities, so many amenities that I can't even list them off in this video. There's too many. Then that's why people come out to Lariat. Now, if you want something a little bit more peaceful and serene, you want to know what all your options are across the Austin, Texas metro, click on the link at the bottom of the description of this video. Go to my calendar and you can book a call with me and my team. We can discuss your best options and figure out what the pros and cons look like for those options. But if you want a more peaceful, serene community and you want to see a home that's for sale with Drees at the time I'm recording this, then check it out. Hope that helps. Take care. Now, this is the Marley plan built by Drees Homes. It's an open concept, one-story plan. We're on an acre lot. This home's got 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms. It has a 4-car garage. It's got a gigantic backyard, and it has all the rooms that my clients tell me they have to have, even on a one-story plan. Now, I'm gonna walk you through this home in full detail. We're also gonna cover, one of my clients actually contracted yesterday on a home right around this price point, and they were looking at this community, and I'll tell you what they looked at to be able to contract on what we felt like was the right home for them. I've also looked in depth at pricing in this area, pricing in other areas, and I can tell you that there are data points that you should be paying attention to if you are looking at the Austin, Texas metro area. So we're gonna cover all of that throughout this video, and we're gonna start right here in the main living area. Now, this home just finished construction. There's actually still some materials in the game room, media room that we'll see later, but just try to look past that and just try to get a feel for this home that is currently for sale at just under $1,070,000. Now, what my clients tell me they love about kitchens like this, you know what I'm gonna say. You have a contrasting colors where look at the kitchen island. They did a darker color, really matches up with the faucet and the appliances. And then this kitchen backsplash looks very elegant in that picket pattern above the 5-burner gas stovetop with an under cabinet vent hood. And as we curl around to this large kitchen island, notice all the cabinets. You got upper cabinets, you got cathedral style ceilings in the main living area, or what some people like to now call vaulted ceilings. You got a fireplace with a tile going all the way to the side. and there is so much to see here. Now, this home is for sale at $1,070,000. But I'm going to tell you about 3 new acre lot communities that are coming in actually south of here. They're in Leander, and this is located in Clearwater Ranch here in Liberty Hill, Texas. And I'm going to talk about the differences between the areas and the dynamics that forces for buyers that are looking around this area, especially if you're looking at price point in the luxury range. You know, how far does your dollar go? These are all things that people ask me to look into for them when they're looking to buy their home. So we'll cover all of that here shortly. Now, I did want to show you, I looked at the pantry. There's also separate cabinet space, and then you got that water line there for a separate refrigerator. It's kind of like a pantry. Outside the pantry, you can hide appliances here. Love how they match the under cabinet vent hood, the lower cabinets with the kitchen color. That's actually going to be a utility room that we'll get to later. But what I want to show you is this main living room. Because so many people tell me if they're going to be on an acre, they don't want to feel like they're on top of their neighbors, and then they want their home to feel as open as possible. This is one of the ways that you do it on a one-story plan, because you're never going to be open to a second story, obviously, because it's a one-story plan. But you can do things like this, where if you want functionality, you can do a floor outlet on the floor right there. You can do sliding glass doors. You can do windows on top of those sliding glass doors. And then most importantly, you got these very tall ceilings that really make this space feel wide open. Now, we got a couple of bedrooms over there. We got a game room, media room still to get to. But what I want to get to is this dining area, because this really shows the beauty of being on a 1 acre lot. Hey, real quick, on my way to the home that we're touring, I saw one of the great lots that's here in Clearwater Ranch because of the views that are possible here. Now, if you want to know what's back there and if it could change, that's the type of stuff you got to reach out to me for. But I'm constantly touring homes like this because some have amazing views right here in Liberty Hill, Texas. And as we look around, as you can tell, there are not homes right on top of homes in here. And that's why people love coming to these acre lot communities. If that's you, or you're just looking around at the Austin, Texas metro and you want to know what your best options are, go ahead and scan this QR code, and then that starts a text message. All you got to do is click send, and that will go directly to me, and then me and my team can connect with you and figure out what your best options are. Because if you're looking around wondering, well, what can those back windows look off to? Well, just take a look at this. All right, back to the video. Now, while we're on this, I did want to go through one of the dynamics that's happening here. Is we are here in Liberty Hill, Texas. We're a little bit deeper into Liberty Hill. There are other 1 acre lot communities that Drees was building in. Might even, depending on when you're seeing this, might have something available, or a builder might have something available. There was another community in Liberty Hill, a little bit closer in, called Northgate Ranch. Once Drees had a lot of success there in Northgate and came to Clearwater Ranch. And Clearwater Ranch, at the time I'm recording this, is pretty much on the verge of closing out. And that's why when builders close out, they're constantly looking at other areas they can build in. And that was announced earlier this year. At the time I'm recording this, I'll keep saying that. And that was a new community that Drees is going to be building in called Hilltop Ranch. And so if you're loving the idea of being on an acre, you want a lot of land, maybe you want to have a pool back here, maybe you don't want restrictions, maybe you want like an ADU, you want an outdoor kitchen like that, what you see here. There's so many things that sometimes you can do in these acre lot communities. It just depends on the right one. And then you can get these sprawling one-story plans. Like usually in most homes, this is the home, right? But this home just keeps going and going and going and going to the side. So there's a lot to see that we'll see on the inside. Well, my point in sharing that information with you is right now, that community of Hilltop Ranch is closer in. And by the way, that's a access way to the primary bedroom where we're going to be heading to next. So you got the grill right there. But what I wanted to really hone in on here is what that can have as an effect on pricing and the future growth for some of these areas. Around that new community called Hilltop Ranch, which is just launching at the time I'm recording this, they don't even have a model home yet. What I would say is when you have a new community coming up, then the question is well, how many lots are going to become available there? But I think more importantly, it's how many builders are going to follow suit and also build around communities there. And there's a reason why. When you're buying land here in Texas, most of the people that are pretty far out in these suburbs, that live here, they don't want to sell their land. They came out of to these areas because they don't want to be around a lot of people. They want peacefulness, they want serenity, they want beauty. Like, take a look at this view from the primary bedroom. They don't want to feel like they're on top of their neighbors. And when a new build community comes in, sometimes a lot of people look to sell. And many people will say, well, hey, a new build community is coming in, we're going to lose that serenity, let's sell. And sometimes that starts a domino effect of one community turns into two communities, turns into three communities. And I've seen that time and time again as I've watched the Austin, Texas area, the whole area grow, but I've seen some areas grow much faster than others. But my point in sharing that with you is around Hilltop Ranch, there are now 2 new communities that also announced around the same time with 3 different builders. So in that area, which is closer in, called Leander, there are going to be 3 1-acre lot communities between 4 different builders. And that is not anything we've ever seen, especially south of a highway called 29, which runs east and west across these suburbs like Georgetown and Leander and Liberty Hill. And when we hear about 3 new communities coming in closer in, I think there could be downward pressure on pricing. Now, I'm not saying this specific home is overpriced. I never comment about pricing about any of these homes because, number one, it requires an in-depth analysis. I'll talk about that in-depth analysis here in a second. But also, I don't know when you're watching this, right? Sometimes pricing does not make sense in an area, and then a year later it does because the market dynamics change. But I would say if there are 3 new communities being built south of here that are all acre lots closer in, then I think there could be downward risk and pressure on pricing. So I would say buy accordingly. Now, what I would also say is details matter, okay? For some of these homes, like a 1-story plan, it might be more marketable here, but this same home in a different community might not make any sense at all. A good example of that is I have a client that lives in Round Rock, Texas, which is another suburb south of here. And they live in a new build community, at least it was a new build community 3 or 4 years ago, and then it closed out. And in that new build community, everybody builds 4,000 to 5,500 square feet. But the builder offered 1-story plans that were closer to like 3,500 square feet, but very rarely did anybody buy in that area. A lot of people bought the bigger homes because to buy in that area, it was fairly expensive. And so if you were gonna build on a lot, you were gonna build the most amount of square footage for the most part. And by the way, this is a good look at the 4-car garage. It's actually a 2-bay side entrance garage and then a 2-bay street-facing garage. A lot of space there, very tall ceilings. I think you can see that with the amount of stairs it takes to kind of get down there. Very cool. Let me know what you think about that. But getting back to that example, that community has larger homes, generally speaking. Well, somebody is now selling their home, and they're selling their home as a 3,300 square foot home in that place for a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom. And at the time I'm recording this, they want to get well over $1 million. And I thought to myself, you know, they probably paid well over $1 million to be in that community because the builder could get away with that pricing, but that pricing only made sense when you maximized square footage and built one of their largest 2-story plans, not a 1-story plan that's only a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom. Well, what's interesting is I have somebody who's interested in buying it, and I ran comparable homes data, and I showed them over the last 4 years, only 2 homes have sold in that 4,000 home community. There's 4,000 homes, it's actually 4,400 homes to be exact, built in that area. 2 have sold as a 3-bedroom home, 2.5 bathroom home. So that just shows you how difficult of a time they're going to have to sell that home. And I hate to say it, but that seller is going to lose probably about $250,000 to $300,000. And it's not because they built at the wrong time. I had a client build it at the right time there. They would make money if they sold their home right now. But that buyer, or the past buyer, they're going to have a real tough time selling that home. Now, getting back into this home, we got a I'm trying to figure this out. That wouldn't be like a wine room or wine. It's just kind of like a nook area where you can have a mini fridge. Let me know what you would do there. Usually I see some like wine racks, so you can make that into like a separate wine room. But let me know what you would do there. And then also we got a study at the front of the home. And I like how Drees did something that all my clients asked for, which is a floor outlet right in the middle of this study, which I think is fantastic and a good upgrade to have. Now I'm kind of working myself backwards here, but I did miss, I know, the game room in the back. I think at this time there's a gentleman right now kind of moving some things around, which is pretty typical towards the end of the construction, but I'll get there in a second. We also got a bedroom at the front of the home. So again, it's a 4-bedroom home. This one has a great view. There is going to be another home built across the street, and there are lots still available, but very few and far between in Clearwater Ranch. But that's one of those lots actually across the street. Very cool stuff. And by the way, this is like a new indentation that I've seen in different communities. I actually think it's very cool. I've seen kids put a basketball net there, and then they play basketball. But I've also seen people just park there rather than parking on the street. But I don't know why you need to park on the street here. The driveways are massive in this community. So that's just, I guess, it's never enough space. So it's nice to have those. I'm calling it an indentation. You let me know if you have a better word for it. Now, getting back to what I was mentioning before about pricing. So I'm going to talk about that while we get to the next game room, then the media room, and then we got a couple more bedrooms in that area. When it comes to pricing, what I always am shocked by is when somebody takes one data point and says, so that's the price of the home. We have one data point of a comparable sold home at a certain price. Therefore, all pricing in the future should be based off that one data point. And I think that's the biggest mistake I see people make, especially in some of these new build communities where there may not be a lot of data, a lot of builders to protect what their sold prices are. They don't put anything in the MLS, which is what realtors have access to. That's why I'm getting a lot of information verbally. I'm also talking to builder agents, telling them, hey, I know you might get fired if you share with me sold data. Can you pull it up on your computer and just look away? Like, what else would make you feel better? I'm not going to tell anybody that we've shared this. And building trust with them sometimes is so important because getting that data is everything. And let me give you an example of when people use the wrong data. Okay, there's a community out here that my client was actually actively making offers in. And there were 2 homes that I was telling them, they're great homes, they're really well done, but they're very overpriced. And they're overpriced for one reason and one reason only. There was a sold, I'm obviously being a little bit vague, but I'll give you some numbers here in a second. But I'm being vague because those homes are still on market, and I'm not here to, point out negative of anybody's listing. But here's what I'll tell you. They used one data point, one sold home of that same floor plan where, I hate to say it, but that buyer overpaid. They only negotiated $25,000 off the price with the builder. And I know for a fact that builder would have done a lot more on that home. So now everybody thinks, well, the pricing is, and I'm just going to throw out a number, it's not this exact number. Everyone thinks, well, the pricing is $1.6 million because one person bought that same plan for $1.6 million. What they're not seeing is that person paid all cash and clearly did not care to negotiate. They barely negotiated off the sale price, and clearly they had $1.6 million to spend on a house. They had it all cash. Maybe they just didn't care. They didn't care to negotiate as much. Well, what's interesting is in that same community, now there's 2 homes for sale, and they decided to list at $1.7 million. And I was telling my buyer that is ridiculous. I wouldn't pay anything over $1.4 million, maybe $1.45 million if you really value the upgrades. But all they're doing is they're drastically overpricing their listing because of one data point. Well, guess what? I said that 4 or 5 months ago. Those homes have been on market for 6 months, and they're going to have drastic decreases in their price for it to make sense. Or they might get lucky and they might get one buyer that says, hey, this one home sold at $1.6 million. Therefore, we're getting a deal at 1.55 or 1.5. And that is the logical part of buying homes that happens, especially when people fall in love with the home, the emotions are going, they'll justify anything to get the home. And sometimes that means drastically overpaying. Now, my whole point in sharing all of that with you is what I told my clients, because they're really concerned about downward pressure on pricing, which is a great concern to have right now. I think everybody should be concerned with that, as interest rates at the time I'm recording this, I know I said that like 10 times, because if you're watching this in the future, I get people that get mad when they're like, interest rates are low now. And I'm like, yeah, but at the time I'm recording this, interest rates are relatively high. And I told them, with 3 new communities coming in south of here, paying a premium for a property would not make any sense. If you are concerned about downward pressure, do not buy that home, even though it was priced much higher at 1.6 million. I told them we should go to a community where there's a lot of forever homes. There's not as much downward pressure on pricing because there's nothing else close to the home that we bought in the community that we bought. And I'm so excited for them. They bought in a great community. They actually just contracted yesterday. And I love giving advice to people like that, because we're actually under contract $300,000 less than what they were gonna pay in that community. I know I'm being very vague here. I'm not giving you the community name or the true pricing. I'm gonna give you a kind of roundabout. That's because, again, those homes are currently listed, but at least you get some examples of what my team and I can do for you. And so that's what we're striving to do for anybody who reaches out to us. And if that's you and you're watching this on your mobile, click on the link at the bottom of the description of this video. Book a call with me and my team. We'd love to help you out. And then if you're interested in homes like this, you're interested in building with Drees, go ahead and reach out to me. If you're watching this on your TV, scan this QR code and that will go right to my cell phone, and me and my team will definitely connect with you and try to figure out what your best options are. And as we can tell, there are a lot of dynamics here, a lot of homes currently on market. And so when you have this many options, be careful where you're buying, get all the pros and cons of what your best options are. And that's exactly what we can do for you. Now, there is a model home in this community that I have over 300,000 views on. A lot of people have watched it. They love that plan. It's the Linmar plan. So go ahead, if you wanna watch that, go ahead and click right here. And as always, I hope this helps. Take care, everyone.